I'm sitting here with Henning Witte. Hello in Stockholm.
Hello, Alexandra.
Yeah, and we are going to talk especially about the conference in Prague, July 22nd, and you are one of speakers. And we are going to speak about the topics, and maybe you mention other topics because your knowledge is broad and deep in many topics. But could you introduce yourself first?
Yes, and first, thank you for the invitation today and to talk on your conference From Illusion to Reality. I started to get interested in secret things when I was the legal representative of the biggest next of kin association after the Estonia catastrophe in 95-96. The Estonia was an Estonian ferry boat from its way from Tallinn, Estonia to Stockholm in Sweden, and it sank in the end of September 94. Almost 1,000 people died, and officially it was an accident. But during my research for the lawsuit in Paris, I found out it wasn't. It was a false flag. It was the worst mass murder in Sweden's history. And when I started to collect evidence on that, and the people, the next of kin, wanted it, then I got really a harsh life in Sweden. And the secret services chased me. I could figure out the Swedish ones, the German, and the Americans, and I was very flabbergasted that the media in Sweden, compared to other countries, covered up everything in the same manner. And there I said, one day I want to have my own medium, my own TV, where I don't tell lies. And this was the reason why I started internet web TV channel YTV. In March 2011 online. It was built up a year ago before. And my main impact was to tell about the Estonia catastrophe and about the Palme murder and about my banking reform. I call it the White School of Economics, where I want to take the power from the private banks and centralize the power on the central banks over issuing money. And then 1 week already after I got public in March 2011, a lot of mind control victims, so-called targeted individuals, knocked on my door and said, Henning, please do something about mind control. Do you dare to publish? And in connection with my Estonia research, I had a good contact to the Swedish translator of David Icke's books. And so I got in contact with David Icke's books. And David Icke wrote a lot about mind control. So I was a little bit familiar with the topic. And I made an action in Sweden in 2003 when the Foreign Minister Anna Lindh was murdered, and Mikhail Mikhailovich, the killer, at least in the court, said, I heard voices in my skull, and I was guided. And there I posted letters to politicians, to his lawyer, to the mainstream media. Hey guys, this is a mind control operation, most probably by Mossad. The bank house of Rothschild's secret service, officially Israel's, but it is a false flag. It's not Israel's in reality. And so there I knew a little bit about mind control, but I was not so deeply in it. And then I started to listen to the people who are targeted. And there's a lot of people who tell the same story, basically. So I videotaped it and published it on YTV and got a collection. And then we made a lot of research. And in December 2011, I traveled through Germany with a Danish guy who also was a targeted individual, and he was a technician. So we had scanning devices with us, and we traveled in northern Germany, southern Germany, Berlin, and so on, and met targeted individuals. And during this scanning, it was in some cases easy to point out that there was they emitted radiation beams, waves from inside the body, often here where this joint is, or between the shoulders or other places. And there we got also an indication that something is very, very wrong. And then in 2013, we started the first European association against mind control, a European coalition against Covert harassment, UCASH, with Dr. Rauni Kilde. She is familiar to a lot of people. She got murdered 2 years ago. And Magnus Olsson and me. And there we gathered also information about mind control. And basically what it is a more than 60-year technology to interfere with the brain of peoples, go inside the brain with waves, hidden waves, and overrule the thinking. Normally, mind control is done covertly, so the people don't realize they are victim. And then they can read thoughts, they can change thoughts, they can give orders that you commit a crime or something like that, and they can change memories, they can erase memories. The technology is there because basically our brain is a biological computer working principally as computers as we know, but on a higher level. And some guys here on Earth have figured out how it's working, and keeping that secret so that nobody can detect that this technology really is existing. I said more than 60 years ago because it started in the concentration camps with the Nazis and the Japanese in World War II. The technology which was then used in the 50s and 60s especially. And by the Nazis, this was Dr. Mengele, this horrible guy. He was taken over by the United States in the Project Paperclip after World War II. He did not die. And he could proceed with his horrible research on humans. And he got different names in connection to different projects in America, Dr. Green, Dr. White, Dr. Black. And he was even doing research in Southern America, Argentina especially, Paraguay. And the Mossad said they chased him, but they didn't, because the ultimate order giver in the Mossad is a bank house, the Rothschild, and they wanted him to proceed with this. Then there were some very brave journalists in the New York Times in the 70s, already in the beginning, who got a lot of information about mind control and who blew the whistle, one could say, who made a really good job as a journalist, as everyone should do, to publish evidence. And this led to the so-called Church Committee in the American Senate, Senator Church. And he was really tough against the CIA because the research was centered. Today it's the NSA. And this Church Committee compelled the CIA to publish secret documents about mind control. The CIA burned all the papers before publishing, but they made a mistake in another building. They had copies and forgot that. And those copies were forced to the official eyes. and there we got the first documents proving that mind control exists, that they use it, and that they have different projects, and the main project was more than 100 sub-project was the MK Ultra project. And MK is for mind control, but one should suppose it is MC because in the English language control is spelled with a C. But they took MK to honor Mengele and those Nazis because in German language it is controller with K. And this was a huge step forward that we could grasp what's going on. Hollywood had taken on the topic, The Manchurian Candidate with Frank Sinatra, a remake with Denzel Washington in 2004. So a lot of Hollywood films alarmed about mind control as well. But it was at that time in the 70s acknowledged in Sweden. There was Robert Näslund. He got a chip, an implant in the police custody in nearby Stockholm in the end of the 60s, and then in the 70s he made Röntgen pictures in California, and there they found it and put it out. And therefore he started in Sweden the so-called Gruppen, to fight against mind control. And when I tried to wake the public in Sweden about the Mossad murder of Anna Lindh with mind control tools, he was the only one who reacted to me and gave me more information and confirmed that I'm right. Everybody else was quiet in Sweden, because I now figured out after a lot of research that Sweden is, besides the United States and Russia, the third country in the world that developed the mind control technology since the end of the 40s. And the leading nation was always Russia, and perhaps then on an even level Sweden and America, what is the technology is concerned. And therefore, I could get an information hint from an agent of the Secret Services in Sweden in summer 2011, when I started with all the interviews from the targeted individuals, and who told me, Henning, do you realize that they use scalar waves in mind control? And I said, no, never heard about scalar waves. What is that? I had a very good education in school in mathematics and physics, but scalar waves I never heard. And then he said, yeah, it's the retired Lieutenant Colonel Tom Bearden in the United States who's making a huge research on it and published, and a physics professor in Germany, Konstantin Meyer. And here are some YouTube links. And so I spent the whole summer 2011 in making physics, studying physics, secret physics. And the scalar waves they describe give a very good confirmation to the situation of targeted individuals. Everybody knows this negative words, oh, you are a tin-foiled head. This is another word for a conspiracy nut and conspiracy theorist. That are words from the Secret Services implemented in the media, because a lot of journalists are agents paid by Secret Services to give a negative picture of people telling the truth. And a lot of target individuals who realize something is beaming in their head, they try to protect against that. And of course, as everybody, they think it's electromagnetic waves because we don't know anything else. And when you want to shield, to protect against electromagnetic waves, you can take tin foil and put it on your head. That helps. Or put it on the wall of your sleeping room and things like that. Or lead or other things which protect against electromagnetic waves. But all the TIs tell you it doesn't help. One Swedish guy, he went to Kiruna in a mine 700 meters below Earth, where no electromagnetic wave could reach. And he had the problem. Others flew intercontinental very high. They didn't get rid of it. A lot of TIs changed the country. We had Russian TIs here, and they said it's worse in Sweden than in Russia. And so even if you change the country, they can get you everywhere. Because if you study scalar waves, you learn they penetrate everything, even the whole planet. And so by this, I understood that the guys who tell about scalar waves, Tom Bearden and especially Professor Meil in Germany, they are right. And then you deepen your study, and then you see, oh, there is a huge conspiracy to cover up the scalar waves. And this is connected to the research of Nikola Tesla, a guy from Croatia. He was very well known in the end of the 19th century. He was together with Edison in America and making research on electricity, and it was Tesla who gave the the AC to America first, and was world famous. And then he made demonstrations in Colorado Springs for the world press to show that he could send electricity wireless through the air. 42 kilometers from his station with a Tesla coil antenna, he could give electricity to light bulbs, being without any cable in the wall of a mountain. And this was, of course, a sensation that he could show the people, look, you can send electricity through the air. And the gag, the funniest thing was, it came through more electricity to the light bulbs than he had sent away, because those electrical waves he sent, they loaded up themselves with free energy, with free electric energy. And he detected by that way the so-called electric scalar waves. There are two kinds of scalar waves: magnetic scalar waves used in our bodies and electric scalar waves. And some years before, about in the end of the 70s, the most well-known mathematician, James Clerk Maxwell in England, died. And he's known up to date for the Maxwell equations, the Maxwell field equations, that are mathematical equations which describe a lot of things, even waves. And in the original Maxwell equation for waves, he said a wave has always two parts, a scalar wave part and an electromagnetic wave part. And when he died, Heinrich Hertz, who had detected the electromagnetic wave 1888, 89 in Karlsruhe in Germany, and pupils to James Clerk Maxwell, this famous mathematician from England, they started to falsify the equation and put away the scalar wave part. They put it to zero. And with the argument, well, we have only found the electromagnetic wave, Mr. Heinrich Hertz, and nothing else. And therefore, Maxwell was wrong. Falsified the equation. This is a very stupid scientific argument, because they couldn't give a guarantee that somebody else would come in the future and also detect the scalar wave. So this is horrible physics. To falsify an equation from a very good mathematician with the argument we only found one part but not the other part, and not giving an argument why they never could find the other part. And what happened? Tesla, 10 years later, as I told, in the Colorado Springs, showed the world, look, here's the scalar wave part. But this did not lead to a repair of the Maxwell equation in the original version, in the correct version, but it led to that JP Morgan, the biggest banker, we have still Morgan banksters in America and other countries, he withdrew all the funding to Maxwell, and he disappeared from the screen. And it was a huge conspiracy since that in the United States, in the Western world, against the research of Nikola Tesla. And today, still, all the books in physics in university and schools teach the wrong and falsified Maxwell equation when it comes to the waves. And only the first professor in physics now who is going out and saying, hey, you have to correct it in the original way. And this is Professor Meyer in Germany. And he is, for me, the new Tesla. I think he's even the reincarnation of Tesla, because he detected a lot of amazing things. And he, in 1990, detected there is another type of scalar waves, the magnetic scalar wave. And the magnetic scalar wave is used in our brain computer. And therefore, it was correct what the Secret Services in Sweden told me. They use scalar waves. They use magnetic scalar waves in mind control. So when I had grasped that in summer 11, I made research on the internet. Are there devices working with scalar waves? Yes, the American company Q-Wave was the only company in the world selling devices, and they call it scalar waves, with scalar waves. Other words are Tesla waves and the tachyons and so on. There are little different names on that. But the most established name now is thanks to Professor Meyer's scalar waves. And so they had one device you can hang around the neck. It's this little size. You have to charge it every 10 days. The little battery in there. Helping TIs, they claimed, also against mind control. So we ordered it from America. Magnus Olsson was the first to test, and others in Sweden, and it helped. So this was also confirmation that scalar waves exist. The problem was about after 1 week, 10 days, the old problems with mind control came back. So the Secret Services found a way to go around it. We found out that the control over the mind control technology is in the military and in the Secret Services, like Mossad, CIA, NSA, and so on, FSB in Russia. So this was, of course, a problem that they could go around. They had another device against depressions you can hang around the neck, a harmonizer. And my mother had always huge problems with depressions, and she got Risperdal for that, which didn't help. It made it a little bit better in the beginning, but in the long run, it made it worse. And as I now know, Risperdal opens for demons. All the psychopharmaca are designed to open for demons, and you really got problems. And when I handed out this device on her birthday, she was like changed. She never had depressions since then. She didn't need Risperdal any longer. So there you see that all the modern psychiatrists are quackeries. Psychiatry is quackery because they talk about chemical imbalances in the brain. They are so stupid. They haven't studied the brain. They don't understand that the brain is using magnetic scalar waves and not so much chemicals. And those magnetic scalar waves, as all scalar waves, they are quicker than light. So Einstein lied to us that nothing is quicker than light. Also, there are conspiracy in physics. And now in psychiatry, they start to use magnets to get rid of psychic illness. And this is the correct way, but they are just now starting it. and never listening. And a lot of court cases for people sitting in psychiatry which are not sick but victims of mind control, and arrogant psychiatrists and judges, they don't even take in the information I present them with mind control. They just block. It is horribly stupidity. It's like in the Middle Ages. So there we got confirmation how it is working, and then I got in Germany the hint, gold is helping against mind control. Okay, gold. No, the first thing they do with targeted individuals, mind control victims, they take the money from them, so they can't defend. And so to buy a gold helmet would not be a good idea. It's too expensive. So I figured out, let's try homeopathic gold. This is homeopathy is a kind of medicine not working with chemics, as they say and usually do today. And therefore, the stupid doctors say, homeopathy can't work because there are no molecules, and therefore no chemical reactions, and therefore it's quackery. They are too stupid to realize that a medical effect also can be achieved by physics, by interference of waves, in this case scalar waves. And this is the better and more mighty way to do medicine, with physics and not with chemistry. So there's also very primitive level in the Western world in the medicine, in the usual medicine, that they don't realize that interference of wave can change things in the body, because we are built up as a hologram from scalar waves, and therefore homeopathic remedies can help in medicine because they use the interference of scalar waves. And it helped also with the homeopathic gold, the so-called aurum metallicum. Aurum is gold in Latin, metallicum, metal. There are different aurums in the homeopathic remedies. You must take the aurum metallicum, the metal. And the frequency patterns of the scalar waves of the aurum metallicum, they gave a relief to about 80% of the mind control victims I had contact with since 2013. So this was a huge breakthrough. It was the first time in the world, and I'm very proud of that I was the first to launch it, that gave a relief in mind control, this aurum metallicum. Not everybody was helped, and often they surrounded this, and it was only for some weeks, but at least it was, and a lot of people have a better situation during a longer day. And on Project Avalon, for example, there was a question to Simon Parkes. This was a British politician from Labour who was very, very developed, and he can take away implants in the aura field and in the body with his mind. And he was asked whether our suggestion was okay, that gold helps against mind control. And he asked yes. And later on in April 2015, I visited him in England, in Witte, in Scotland, the border to Scotland. And then where Vikings had settled long ago in the coastal town Witte, and he gave me the most breaking and eye-opening interview on mind control which was ever done, because he has so much inside knowledge. And so everybody should look up my interview with Simon Parkes on mind control, who is interested in mind control. There you get the cutting edge of what is known to us in the free world. Of course, in the dark world, they know much more. There you have a sketch what mind control is and what you can do about it. And connected to the mind control is something very horrible, which we call artificial intelligence. Ray Kurzweil is a very known name on that. And everything which is connected with artificial intelligence is bad. It's coming from the dark side, from the devil. Because this is the dark side's main tool to keep all the participants, all the soldiers of the dark side in line. Nobody wants to be deliberately close to the devil. In the beginning, perhaps it's nice when you get a lot of money and power, but then you quickly realize it wasn't such a good deal, because the devil always takes more than he promised to give. And there is a hierarchy in the devilish world, and there you have a correct part in the Bible, in the Quran, when they talk about that. There is a God and there is a devil. There is a light part in the world and the dark part fighting each other. And the main tool the devil is using is mind control. And there, the main tool is artificial intelligence. And this is described by experts as a kind of computer virus in the whole universe. And it is easiest spreading with some dark entities having power here, like demons and reptiles and so on. And is easiest to spread to humans with computers. Therefore, the Industrial Revolution in England took place in the 1800s, and therefore we have computers now, because with a computer you can spread it. And this is exactly also the way they often spread mind control with computers. They connect human brains to computers. The goal are the cyborgs, that you have a being half computer, half human, because then you can most easily do mind control and control everything. All the technology which spreads mind control is a technology to spread artificial intelligence, satellites, mobile phones, Wi-Fi, also internet connections without cables, and modern televisions. In the old televisions, the mind control signal came through the sound, because scalar waves are longitudinal waves, and sound is also a longitudinal wave. And therefore it was a sound channel. But now when they digitalized television, they can't use the sound any longer, but they use the flickering of the screen. There you can put in mind control, subliminal mind control programs, which you don't realize. And the cell phone towers and the Gwen towers in America and so on, they emit scalar waves with mind control. And that means they emit also artificial intelligence. So now we get a lot of backup from foreign civilizations helping us, not so much by oh, we love the humans, but by fear of that this artificial intelligence is spreading around the universe from the Earth to parts which are not infected yet. And that's good for us, because this has helped to put down and take the power from the dark forces on Earth, and therefore we are with huge steps now going to better times, even if it's very rough. This year and next year will also be rough, but then I think it will be much better. Yeah, and finally, I just took up the topic with scalar waves and free energy. So you need to look at the research of Tesla. The Russians did, and therefore their medicine is much better than our medicine, and their weapons are better because they use scalar wave weapons, weather weapons, and so on, and they did it much earlier. So Stalin picked up everything from Nikola Tesla, and in the Western world it was just shuffled beneath the carpet, and therefore you have a huge difference there. And so the theory on free energy is it is electrical scalar waves using neutrinos. And neutrinos are small particles in physics. The last Nobel Prize in the 2015 was about neutrinos, and it was good. Because if we teach and learn more from neutrinos, then we learn more about free energy. Of course, officially it's not allowed to say that, but it is like that. They can split up into electrons and positrons, and the electrons, there you get the energy. There you have the theoretical physics, and then I know a lot of people who managed to build devices collecting the free energy and giving electricity to their needs. But until the start of the 90s, everybody got killed who was successful with free energy devices or suppressed. And nowadays, most of them survive, but they are not allowed to market it. But Simon Parkes and other experts say in some years, even this will be a breakthrough. I think so too, that they can market it. There are thousands of developers in the world who found out that, sometimes by coincidence. Victor Schauberger from Austria described his tests, suddenly saucer, he had got energy and flew through the roof and so on. All the flying saucer themes are connected to free energy, and that's one of the main reasons why it's covered up, because we shall buy the oil products where a little group of very negative entities have the power and own it. And when we don't need it, then they lose their power, and that's why they make a conspiracy against free energy. And that is the main goal why they made a conspiracy against scalar waves, because the free energy is described in physics, and therefore we shall not know about it. I think this is a short overview about this research. So I approach to the scalar waves from the practical world of listening to mind control victims and not calling them crazy. And this, I think, is a very important step for a lot of parts in our life. And I hope we can spread this information also at your conference From Illusion to Reality, which is the 22nd of July in Prague, 2017.
Yes, it is. And I just wanted to say that it's sad that the Tesla inventions are used against humanity and not for humanity, that we could have bought free energy.
Well, they are used in both ways. There's a lot of medical devices which use it in a positive way.
Yeah, but for example, here in Czech Republic, in the end of May and beginning of June 2013, some 15-16 people got killed by a HARP attack. Very obvious HARP attack. And what happened when I had the evidence of it, very clear evidence. So I went to the police in my hometown, and it was, I believe it was 10th of June 2013. It was very clear pictures, where it come from. So also it was so clear that it couldn't be more clear. And what happened within 2 days, it was coup d'etat, or I mean the government fell. Instead of the policemen would work for the people, they fell the government. And the wife of the prime minister, she worked with floodings. So it was a flooding, heart-made flooding, and I could see it. It started at 3 a.m. on 29th of May, and yeah, I believe it was so. And I remember that 2 days before were almost no clouds, and I have written 27th of May 2013. I sent a fax that Evelyn Rothschild and David Rockefeller, he's dead now, that they are working with weather manipulation and HARP attacks. It was 27th of May 2013. I sent this fax. It was also about something else. And the 29th of May, I can see I can see the HARP attack. It was also in Milano, in Italy, a tornado. I can see an earthquake in Wales, because there was the HARP. That I have found out, and how I have found out. I went to the dinner with my cousin, the 3rd of June. It was sunny weather, and she told me, "Don't you know that there were flooding here?" And I said, "What, flooding? Yeah, it killed 15, 16 people." So okay, they were Evelyn Rothschild. They were involved. So I went home after the dinner, and I live on 3rd stock. So I watch if I see some HARP clouds. Of course, they were still like HARP clouds. So I took picture. I went to the computer. Could I see some cloud? I can show you it then. But I have found a cloud like this. So it's unnatural, strange.
And special colors often.
Pardon me?
Unnatural colors in the cloud is also.
Yeah. So I have the documentation. 10th of June, I went to the criminal police, left it there, and it was funny because the lady in the receptionist, who is not supposed to have any education, she told me, yeah, I know about this. This is from the north. It's from Sweden, north, like. And I was thinking, wow, I am from Sweden, and that I know that Jacob Wallenberg works with this. He's Swedish. It's not so impressive because I live normally in Sweden. So, but a receptionist tells me, I know it's from north, it comes from Sweden or so, because she knew about it. Then I speak to the policeman, and I see their silly smile, and of course they did nothing. And Czech Republic, it's billions, also billions of Czech crowns they've lost, and people, and they have the documentation, and the police just laughed at you like you are crazy. And a receptionist, so who is here, who should be the policeman? Like the receptionist. It's funny.
Yes.
And then a second before I let you go, Donald Trump, he is criticizing the press, but actually I believe it was some law was changed by Ronald Reagan in 1984, the 86, which meant that almost journalists can lie without any punishment. Do you know anything about it? I believe it was 1986. I will look it up if I find anything about it.
Never heard about that.
Yeah. Okay, but maybe we could do some follow-up before the conference, or is it possible?
Yes.
Okay, in case it would be some questions in the comments, so I will check it up and maybe send to you, or
yes, and we can talk about my banking reform. I had a lot of banks as clients, and read a lot of books in German language, because the the banking reform is most developed in the German-speaking countries, Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. And there it is discussed how to take the power from the banks, from the private banks. There I have some very basic and important thoughts which should be spread and are not.
I just want to mention that you speak 5 languages: German, English, Swedish, Russian, and French.
Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's impressive. Yeah, so it's great to for you to read all the information in different languages.
Yes.
So yeah. Okay, Henning, thank you very much.
Welcome, Alexandra.
Hope the weather will be better in Stockholm soon.
Yeah, we need really some warm weather now. It is the 1st of July 2017 and still the summer hasn't come to us.
Oh.
It is probably also because of the HARP and other weather changing devices. Sweden has 3 technical devices combined with HARP. Ice cut in Kiruna, which is connected to Tromsø in Norway. There's also ice cut, and the lowest antennas in surrounding the Växjö University. You remember the biggest storm we had in Sweden, the storm Gudrun, January 2005?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, the reason was it was artificial, because the owners of the forest in this part of Sweden surrounding the Växjö University in southern Sweden, they didn't want to sell, so they were not able to get ground to build the antennas. Therefore, they sent this huge storm, and everything, all the forests were destroyed, and suddenly they had panicked to sell because insects were coming and destroying all the fallen trees, and therefore they could easily build this antenna forest there.
Okay. Thank you very much, Henning.
Welcome.
It's very interesting to speak with you always, and maybe in some 2 weeks we'll see that we can speak with each other again.
Yeah.
Bye bye. Hej.
Bye bye.
Hej då.
Hej då.